I'm doing a giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm No Luck Skiffin, and today we are going to be taking a look at a brand new feature in Storybook Brawl. They just added the ability to turn off bots in your private custom lobbies, which now means that you can play games of Storybook Brawl with 6, 4, or even just 2 players, and that is exactly what we are going to be taking a look at in this video, a 1v1 heads up mode of sorts. For right now, I'm calling it Storybook Brawl Duels, but I just asked on my Discord if anybody wanted to try 1v1 as soon as this feature dropped, and we are going to be playing a best of 3 match against Sam from my Discord. So, looking at these 3 heroes, none of them particularly speak out to me in terms of a 1v1 hero. I did think that maybe the game would be a little bit faster, and for that reason I might want to pick Horde Dragon or Celestial Tiger, but I just wind up going with Zelhua. And very quickly, well, I only had one option to pick up in this first shop, the Baby Dragon, and this wound up being very, very influential on our set of games that we played, because very quickly we found out just how good dragons could be. They really mess with all of the support shenanigans that people can do, and ultimately just wound up being very powerful. That's why you see that the thumbnail for this video is the new art for Lightning Dragon. We're just going to wind up casting this Forbidden Fruit on turn 2 and picking up a pair of Baby Roots. Not really much else going on here, and then I'm going to lock onto a Lonely Prince, because I figure that will be powerful enough for the next turn. And it's a very close combat. I win the 50-50 though, and attack into the Black Cat, which means that we are going to be able to win the combat because of the Baby Roots. I wind up firing off a Genie's Wish on turn 3. The reason that I do that is because I'm not actually in love with this shop. I think that the shop is a little bit underpowered because it didn't find, I mean, it just has a bunch of blind mice, which didn't really do much for us. So I was thinking, okay, maybe this shop is powerful if I can roll into a shrink spell, but I wind up casting a magic research on my Baby Root. And then I think we actually just have enough stats to barely win again. Didn't even need the +1/+1 on the Baby Root. It was just the Baby Root support that did it all for us. And then this turn, I am definitely eyeing up just picking up Princess P and the Lonely Prince. I think that'll be the most stats for us. And I'm going to lock on to the 2 pairs that I have. I thought that that could potentially be strong, but this is definitely still a learning process for us. Basically, the game mode dropped. I pinged my Discord and said, hey, who wants to try this out with me real quick? And within 10 minutes we were playing, so didn't really have too much time to think about all of the implications of the game mode, but I'm sure it's going to evolve a bunch over time in a really exciting way, I think. And it should be cool. I don't know how much content for Storybook Brawl Duels I will put out, but I'll definitely consider like reaching out to some other creators, as well as reaching out to some people on my Discord and seeing who wants to battle, and seeing if we can get any fun games together, because I'm sure it'll be fun regardless here. And here, if I'm going to cast this Falling Stars, which I think I want to because of Sam's Black Cats, then that means that I want to use the Baby Root to support the Princess Peep. And from there, I suppose I am eyeing up picking up a Water Wraith and trying to get some scaling onto the board. I think that scaling could be good. If you get to the point where you've scaled above your opponents, then that seems pretty good. Now, unfortunately, Sam did support the Black Cats with the Wicked Witch, so that is not going to be able to do too much work, but we did take out the Labyrinth Minotaur in the back line, so we got some value from that there. And honestly, we're doing pretty good. One thing that's interesting is Kidnap in this mode, because you know who you're going to steal from, and there's definitely some interesting implications of that. I just mentioned scaling. One of the things that Sam brought up is if your opponent scales their board, you can try to kidnap and counter scale them in that way. So I thought that that was also a really funny idea. From here, I'm just going to wind up trying to support the Water Wraith in the best way possible, get our own scaling thing going on. It's a little bit of a puzzle to fit everything in, but ultimately, I think that this board works. We could lock onto the stag, but we are currently on 3.2. So I'm just going to roll with it, and next turn, both of our hero powers will activate. Sam will be Pan's Shadow, seeing all 4-cost things, and Sam also picked up a Needle-Nose Daggers on this turn. A little bit of a gamble, but it is going to pay off for them because I did not get stronger this turn. Does mean we just have to beat them once, and their dagger is gone, though, so that is definitely something to consider. I just want to try to get as strong as I possibly can, and I think Juliet plus Romeo is a pretty good synergy on 4.0. There's some other good synergies. Then we also see some things like Feasting Dragon that could be a lot of fun and very powerful themselves. But I think that just Romeo and Juliet is good, and another thing that is really good in Storybook Brawl duels is just casting combat spells, and it definitely gives you a newfound respect for combat spells, which granted are already pretty good in the normal proper game, but in duels, you know that they are directly impacting your finals opponent. And if I can use this fireball to clear Sam's Needle-Nose Daggers, that would obviously be really, really good for us. And it is going to be a devastating fireball there, taking out 2 of his support characters. So a really, really good combat for us. We'll break the Needle-Nose Daggers because of that fireball. And now Sam's at 12 and definitely struggling, and I just want to push onto the gas a little bit more. I don't want to let up. I want to find a way to just continue to get stronger and win this game. I probably need to win 2 combats to actually get the victory here, and so I'm just going to pick up a Friendly Spirit. I think that that is a really, really powerful unit, and I'm even going to Stone Skin it because I think that that is quite powerful. And then I see Court Wizard, and I'm like, okay, well, I already have 4 or 3 Royals, depending on how many of these Princess Peeps that I play. So let's definitely pick up the Court Wizard as well. I'm going to not worry about the scaling anymore on Water Wraith. And I'm just going to order around this board a little bit, so that way here, this Lightning Dragon, sorry, not Lightning Dragon, I'm spoiling myself a little bit. I think Sam picks up a Lightning Dragon. So the Friendly Spirit can die quickly, and then my other Royals can get attacked into. So that was the plan here. However, the Lightning Dragon is going to do some really, really good work there, but not enough. We are still going to win the combat, hit Sam for 8, down to 4, and now I'm like, okay, don't let up, pedal to the metal, let's just win this combat. You don't need spinning gold, because if you win a combat, game's over. So I just want to try to get a little bit more powerful here too, and for that, Lady of the Lake seems pretty good. Lady of the Lake along with the Friendly Spirit, and I'm even going to pick up a Fairy Godmother to complement all of these pieces. And I'll move things around here slightly at the end. I'm going to put Lady of the Lake into slot 5, double supported by Friendly Spirits, and then I'm just throwing in this frog because I want to have the maximum amount of triggers for Court Wizard. That's the full plan here. And then I'm even going to cast this Ride of the Valkyrie. I'm all in. I am just trying to win the combat this turn and seeing what we can do with that. Sam has picked up another Lightning Dragon. That's going to take out both of my backline units. Will that be enough? It's certainly going to make it close. I have not found a Romeo yet. However, Juliet is going to be big enough to take it down and get the win. Definitely an interesting first game there. You can see Sam also had the Gloves of Thieving that they were trying out at the end. But yeah, definitely like an interesting concept. We were both kind of finding our footing, and now I think we have a little bit better of an idea of what will be good and bad in this game mode for Game 2. And Sam's gonna go with Jack's Giant, which is super, super scary. Jack's Giant seems like an insane hero in Storybook Brawl duels. I'm already sweating. I'm like, there's no way I can slay with this kitty cut purse. I wish that I could have cast that Shard of the Ice Queen on one of my units, but there were no good units in the shop, and this shop at least has some good units, but I'm definitely struggling. We saw a Wizard's Familiar there from Sam on the first combat. I didn't bother playing the Black Cat because I knew that there was no way that it could slay, and now I'm thinking, even though I have Labyrinth Minotaur pumping up the Black Cat, I think the Labyrinth Minotaur has to go first because the Black Cat is still going to be way too tiny to deal with anything. So, very, very silly set of circumstances here, and we actually could have gotten the slay had we been attacked first, if the Labyrinth Minotaur was attacked first and then the Kitty Cut Purse got to finish off Sam's Wizard's Familiar, but unfortunately that was not the case. And here I am eyeing up Mad Mim because I'm thinking, well, at the very least Mad Mim is going to be a unit that could help us slay, but ultimately just wind up rolling past it with the free roll and picking up a goat to complement the board. But I do think we're going to take some more damage here, and Sam plays really well positioned on this turn. Black Cat and the Baby Root both supported by Mad Mim. That's just, yeah, very good sequencing with those units. I do get to pick up a stag on 3.0, and then I have two different options for my spell. I'm going to wind up going with Genie's Wish because it casts more spells for Wizard's Familiar, and it's absolutely devastating. It casts Falling Stars, which would destroy our Kitty Cut Purse and our Sherwood Sure Shot. So yeah, that's just a bummer. I'm not even going to play the units just because it potentially gives him less information or something. But that was absolutely brutal, and we're already down 11 health. So yeah, not loving my chances here. Falling Star is not going to wipe out any of his units, but some of our units are going to get wiped out here in this combat. We take 6. Not the worst thing in the world, but definitely not super great. And then we get to pick up another Stag, and Stag is at least a powerful card, so I like that, and I think I'd like to pick up another 3-cost card here as well, but I guess I just wind up going for the spell just to get a little bit more stats on the current board. I don't think that this is like a crazy strategy either, just going for the Potion of Heroism plus the Magic Research, just to get a little bit more stats on this Sherwood Sure Shot. We turn it up to a 7-4 here, which is not too shabby, and then if we get either of these stags to attack, which we'll definitely get at least one of them, then we'll have an even bigger Sherwood Sure Shot, and maybe that's a way to kind of get ourselves back into the game, try to cheese with just one massive unit, and it is going to be big. A 13-10, it gets both stag triggers. It's actually just going to be enough to win the combat. All we have to do is attack into that Water Wraith, and we eventually do. So we get a win, and we deal some damage, which is nice. We also get to keep our hands on that Magic Research, which is cool. And now we are just trying to find some other ways to get stronger. I feel like we've kind of stabilized in a way on this turn, which is definitely like a load off my back. That was definitely a fear here. I'm going to wind up picking up the 3rd stag and getting Crystal Ball. And this is really quite huge, I think. I'm just going to end off the turn by picking up the last Kitty Cut Purse. And then we do have another option. We could move Sherwood Sure Shot to the front row and then backline to Kitty Cut Purse, and then basically try to use the extra gold from the Kitty Cut Purse to fuel a hat ball of sorts. And I suppose I am locking onto the Sugar and Spice because I want to try to pump up the stag, and Sam has picked up some XP and a Lightning Dragon, which is definitely really strong, really annoying. We are going to get a Slay with Kitty Cut Purse, but we're also going to take 8 damage. So yeah, pretty good stuff there. I wind up picking up a Lady of the Lake to support both the Stag and then also the Wizard's Familiar, just my 2 biggest units, and I think that this is a really good move right here. And then I pick up the Kitty Cut Purse triple, and I wind up going for the Merlin Slippers here, but there are some really interesting options. We could just go for Jack's Jumping Beans, get a +4/+4. And then I wind up locking onto this shop, which has 3 really interesting things going for it. It doesn't have good spells, so I wouldn't really call that an interesting thing, but it's at least worth noting. We could cast the Wormroot on the Labyrinth Minotaur, but the other thing that it has is just a 14/14 unit, because we are already down to 15 health, and then the other thing that it has is Soultac Ancient. And I'm thinking that if Sam is really gung-ho about this lightning dragon, then throwing in Soultac could be a really good thing. And you could see we get absolutely blown out this combat, and Soultac really, really would have helped. They had the fireball from the monster book. They just had so much stuff going on. So Soultac is definitely coming in here, and we are going to look for some more ways to complement that. And then I'm also going to pick up this Gingerbread Knight to just have that be a strong unit. And I don't want a shard of the... Oh, I do wind up going for the shard of the Ice Queen. Okay, I forgot about that part. I guess it's free, and it pumps up the Wizard's Familiar, so... It's not the worst idea in the world, but I think I also might want to cast either this Flourish or this Ride of the Valkyrie by selling off the 2 units in my hand. Just kind of have to figure out which of these things that I want to do. And there's also some really weird positioning that I have to figure out, but ultimately I decide that if Lightning Dragon attacks into the Gingerbread Knight, that's fine, because Gingerbread Knight has enough health that it's going to survive a Lightning Dragon anyways. So that's why I backline a big Gingerbread Knight, but we are just going to wind up using Soultac 3 times in this combat in some really massive ways. It takes care of the Lightning Dragon, takes care of the Mummy Trigger, and it takes care of the Monster Book Fireball. So really, really good stuff, and that is going to be enough to allow me to win this combat. So maybe there's a chance we can get back into it because of this crystal ball. And I'm just going to go for straight stats here. I'm going to try to put as much stats as possible onto the Wizard's Familiar. I'm not going to chance it with a Genie's Wish. I'm just going to keep on rolling. I do like potentially picking up Lady of the Lake here as well, but I think that putting some spells onto the Soultac could be really good. Soultac is like kind of interesting if it has 0 attack, but it's also kind of interesting if it has 8 attack, because then it can do battle with a bunch of units on Sam's side of the board. And we do have to, it does have to avoid the Water Wraith, but short of that, I think that we're actually looking okay here. Our Wizard's Familiar is starting to grow. Our Soultac is protecting against a lot of what Sam can do, to the point where he winds up cutting the Lightning Dragon. However, the Siren is able to steal our donkey, which means, or not our donkey, our stag, which means we don't get a stag attack, and Sam does. And that is just way too much of a swing, and we wind up losing that combat. So now we are on to game 3, the Equalizer, and out of those heroes, Fallen Angel is definitely the most tempo-oriented, and I think that that is the key to this format. But unfortunately, Sam has found Jack's Giant yet again, and that definitely has me nervous. But I'm thinking, maybe we could play Labyrinth Minotaur in the early game. That'll be able to trade with most of the things that Sam can find, and that seems pretty good. Eventually, our hero power will be better than his. Now, we do lose the 50-50 there, and Sherwood Sure Shot is able to attack into us, so that part is awkward, but I think that we're doing good besides that. And I'm going to wind up picking up the Black Cat and cycling out the rest of the shop, so that way I can lock onto Mad Mim for this turn. I have to lead with Labyrinth Minotaur because the Black Cat doesn't even trade with the Sure Shot because of Jack's Giant's hero power, and it does find the Sure Shot, but Sam also finds the Slay and gets a Lucky on this early portion of the game. So that's scary too, but we are finally able to activate our hero power, get a pair of 7/1 cats, and I'm going to complement that with a Sherwood Sure Shot this turn. And then I am locking onto the Polywoggle in this shop. I think the Polywoggle can be powerful enough. We can pick it up and slot it in front of the Mad Mim, and it will have 6 attack, Oops, just lost my camera and we're back. Okay, great. So I think the Polywoggle could potentially be able to do some sweet stuff here. Baby Dragon is going to take out my Mad Mim, which is really unfortunate. That means that I do lose this combat, but I think that we will be able to be stronger for future ones. I'm going to wind up picking up the good units here, so that way I activate my Fallen Angel hero power. And now I just have to decide if I actually want this Polywoggle or not. I could pick it up. It's a 3/3 naturally, which is pretty good. I can still support it with Mad Mim eventually and have that be pretty decent for us. Or I could just roll and try to find a Royal for Lonely Prince. I'm a little bit conflicted and ultimately decide to let the Polywoggle go just in favor of tempo. I don't want to try to work on a 3.1 Polywoggle, so I'm off it at this point. This is a very, very close combat. We wind up tying, which is really interesting. This is definitely the closest game by far that we had, and some ties mean that this game's going to wind up going a little bit longer than the other ones. I think our first game was over on, I don't know, I think both of our games so far have been over on 4.2, if I remember correctly right now, and the ties just extend the game just that little bit, so that's definitely an interesting dynamic to all of it. This is a really weird board to organize, but I thought that putting the Sherwood Sure Shot, oh, okay, I do wind up restructuring it a little bit at the end. Okay, well, I like this then as well. We've got the Stag pumping up the Brave, and then we also have the Sherwood Sure Shot attacking first. We just have a frontline Labyrinth Minotaur, but that is totally okay, and that is going to be enough to get the win, and we get the Slay with Brave Princess, and this is actually pretty important here. We crack open the Secret Stash on 3.2, which means that they won't be able to use it on 4.0, and I do think that that is a pretty big deal, especially in a 1v1 mode, but just to deny them the extra gold on that 4.0 turn could wind up definitely paying off. I do really like Water Wraith. I think that that could be good, especially with Fallen Angel, who is very tempted to play a summons comp. However, it also seems just like a little bit too late to try to make Water Wraith shenanigans work. Scaling is so tight in Storybook Brawl duels, so instead I'm just going to pick up a golden chicken, float my own extra gold into 4.0, and use that to pick up some level 4 units next turn. I've also switched the positions of Brave Princess and Sherwood Sure Shot, because I thought Brave had a decent chance to slay. Unfortunately, it misses the 50-50, but I do think that we are still going to be strong enough with the Mummy and the Black Cat that have both received that buff that we are doing pretty okay here. I don't mind the ability to just play a free 4/4 because we are Fallen Angel and the Time Flies is getting an additional +2/+2, and I like Monster Book. I think that Monster Book is probably a decent upgrade to Mad Mim, especially because we know Lightning Dragons are coming. So now that the game is on 4.0, my board is very support centric. We've got the Good Witch, we've got the Stag, and we've got the Mad Mim. And I want to tone down some of my synergies and just start playing better units. So for that reason, I want to pick up a Monster Book here, and 4.0, like I said, Polywoggle, not the craziest idea in the world. So I'm going to pick up Polywoggle, and then I'm even going to sell 2 units and kidnap and steal something that Sam has got going on here, and that something is indeed going to be a Lightning Dragon. Now, one of the nice things about the Time Flies is it will fill in for anything in the back row that the Lightning Dragon takes out, which means that we do wind up getting to get a Time Flies with that bonus on it, which is enough for us to win the combat, and Polywoggle does wind up slaying and giving us another tie. So now we have a tier 5 unit. We also have a free Lightning Dragon, and we've got this awkward hero power. Brave Princess, I think I'm just done with, and I think we're just going to move full into evils at this point. The reason for that is we have 2 good neutral units. We've got Lightning Dragon, and we've got Wombats, so it's just really awkward to play 3 good and 3 evil units in this scenario. So for that reason, just going to pick up another Mummy. We could take a soul tack. It's definitely on the table, definitely something that we can think about. Ultimately, I am going to decide against it, but it's definitely worth considering there, and I don't think I wind up doing anything else with the rest of the shop. Just gonna continue to play the stag again because the time flies can fill in for it here in a nice way. And I think that we're still pretty strong here. Wombats are looking good, and unfortunately those wombats are going to get Medusa'd. And Medusa survives with 1 health, meaning that we take 5 damage. But these fights are still really, really close. You can tell we are definitely making it past 4.2 this game. I wind up bippity-boppifying my Wombats in disguise because I was thinking if it turns into a good unit, albeit a small percentage that it turns into a good unit, that means that we could then Shard of the Ice Queen it and grab a tier 6 unit. So it was just kind of taking the chance on that one. It does mean that we don't have a Wombats to play around with this turn, but I feel pretty strong with this Ancient Sarcophagus pickup. Now we are moving back into the 3 good, 3 evil of it all, and maybe I should frontline the Lightning Dragon so that way my Good Witch is less likely to get attacked into. That part is a little bit awkward, but just wind up playing this board and hoping that this is strong enough here. And Lightning Dragon's going to take out the Mummy. That'll summon a Time Flies, and then the Medusa is going to attack into my stag. Monster Book is not going to give us too much, but a Mummy trigger will be enough to, I guess, just take out some of their units, and we take what was that? 7 damage down to 17. But Sam definitely has the lead here. Despite me having a better hero power, they found some good synergies, and it looks like they are going to try to move into like Royals with Lightning Dragon kind of defending some of the stuff too. And for me, I just want to move into Evil. We will have a few Evil units. I'm seeing a bunch of Lightning Dragons in all of these shops, but Cupid is really, really good, in particular against Royal comps. And that is exactly what I was looking for here. That's why I wind up picking up the Cupid, just directly targeting my opponent's comp. And I think that is one of the most interesting things about Storybook Brawl duels. I'm even going to throw in another Lightning Dragon here on the last second, and I think this comp will give us the best chances. Now we've got Lightning Dragons to take out their Romeos and Sherwood Sure Shots, and Sam actually cut the Lightning Dragons from himself here. He told me afterwards that if I ran Lightning Dragons, he knew that he would be able to get them back because he picked up that Gloves of Thieving. Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting maneuver there. We're going to pick up another Monster Book and another Wombats in Disguise and roll for some triples. And then I find another Cupid, and despite rolling for triples, I think that Cupid is really, really strong against their comp, and Cupid isn't exactly something that you want to triple, but it's just a very good unit, and you got to play against the player in Storybook Brawl duels. Definitely excited that we had such a close and engaging matchup for our deciding game, our rubber match here. And I'm just kind of trying to think, okay, well, if he puts in his Lightning Dragon now, like, what do I want to have in my backline? If the Cupid gets attacked into, that's obviously a little bit annoying, but he winds up, oh, he does find the Cupid. Okay, he finds the Cupid, and he's got a pair of Lightning Dragons over there, as well as a 6 of Shields, and I think that means he's going to win this one. Notably, he backlined his Friendly Spirit because he was planning on, oh, that's right, I do just barely win this one, because he backlined his Friendly Spirit thinking that it would be good. Like, his backline was really, really good if I ran a Lightning Dragon, because both of his attack and then mine attacks into the Friendly Spirit, and then he gets that trigger. And just the presence of Lightning Dragon definitely made this game really, really interesting. Here, I'm just going to wind up taking Monkey's Paw. I think that it is the best tempo-oriented treasure. There is a part of me that would love to Hand of Midas Good Boy, but this is Storybook Brawl Duels, not Storybook Brawl or Storybook Brawl 99. So we're just going to go for the Monkey's Paw, give everything on my field, what is it, +6/+6? I don't even remember, or maybe +5/+5. And that's obviously going to have some synergies with the mummies and the wombats, and also importantly, while I wasn't planning on tripling the Cupid is now out of Lightning Dragon range, though Sam is not playing the Lightning Dragons this turn. They have switched back, and Juliet is going to die there before the Romeo dies, and then we have these huge bears that we summon, which is really, really good because of the existence of Monkey's Paw, and that is going to hit Sam for 9 down to 8, and now we actually make it to 6.0. So this was a much bigger game than some of the others, and all I was hoping for in this game was a pumpkin. Luckily, we are able to find it. I'm also going to go ahead and triple the Lightning Dragon. There were a few really good things we could have found there. We could have picked up Ring of Rage. We could have picked up Summoning Portal. So there was definitely a lot of things that made that treasure pretty enticing. But now we've got an upgraded Lightning Dragon, and maybe putting that back in can have some interesting mind games here towards the end of it. I'm also going to wind up firing off this Toil and Trouble. It is doubled with the Forking Rod, and I'm trying to win. Again, same thing as that first game. All we have to do is win 1 combat, and we will hit Sam for at least 7, should be lethal. Lightning Dragon looking really, really good. It is unfortunately going to find the worst target there, and then his Cupid finds my Cupid, which cracks open my pumpkin. So that is a really, really unfortunate set of circumstances, but now I'm getting in there with my own Cupid. That is just going to take out Medusa, but it actually doesn't matter. We take out the Romeo before we take out the Juliet, which is enough to win the game. But really, really close, epic last combat. I'm even going to rewind it and play it again here because so much stuff happened in this last one that I think it is worth looking at. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with Storybook Brawl Duels. I think that this was definitely something interesting to try. I'm always looking for kind of interesting ideas, and one of the things that I wanted to add is the fact that you can now do these lobbies of 4 or 6 players obviously opens up some interesting things for their tournament structure. That was the big driving factor in why they added it into the game. But it also adds a lot for the casual and fun side of things. So on my Discord, I've been trying to organize games where we play Storybook Brawl, but we add kind of custom rule sets to it. And definitely check out my Discord if you're interested in joining in on some activities like that. And now those things will be easier because now we could potentially do those custom rule sets in 4 or 6 player lobbies in a way that we couldn't before, because the bots aren't necessarily going to follow the custom rules that we lay out. Like, just for instance, if we say that you have to fill up your hand before you can start filling up your board, or you can only buy monsters. Crazy, silly ideas like that. Obviously, there's no way to get the bots to cooperate, but now we can turn the bots off. So if that seems like something that you'd be interested in, check out the Discord in the link below. And let me know what you think of Storybook Brawl Duels. Is this something that you'd like to see more of on the channel? I did also want to mention that if you are interested in playing Storybook Brawl Duels, maybe I will set up like a section of my channel that's like looking for duels or something like that on my Discord server. But even if you can't find somebody to play with, you can also 1v1 a bot just to try it out. You can go into practice mode, click don't allow bots, and then just join just by yourself. And the reason for that is even if you don't allow bots, a bot will still join the lobby to make it an even number of players. So a 1-player lobby becomes a 2, a 3-player lobby adds a bot, and a 5-player and 7-player lobbies will also add a bot to get you to 6 or 8. and that means that you can just duel a bot for something fun, see how fast you can kill the bot, and maybe that is a new way to speedrun, even a new speedrunning category, something that I could try out in the future. But ultimately, I'm just excited for the different levels of customizability that this brings, as well as just getting to have fun with it with some of my viewers here. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace. This week's giveaway word is royal. Each week I use a new code word. That's just to distinguish who's commenting for which week, and the reason I have you guys say a code word, that way I can tell who is interested in the dust and who's just commenting to say hi or that they enjoyed the video, stuff like that. You can definitely do both, just make sure you include this week's code word. You can also enter as many times as you want per week, once per video. You can go back, leave comments on old videos, just make sure they include this week's word, but there's no limit to how many times you can enter, other than, I guess, the amount of videos that I have. And I've been putting out a bunch of Storybook Brawl videos since last October, so yeah, there are a bunch of opportunities to enter to win. You can go through the backlog and watch some of those, but it's been really fun to receive the comments from you guys, get that level of interaction. You can also come join me on my Discord, which I'm trying to grow right now, just so that I have feedback on my titles and thumbnails and things like that, but I also have some fun ideas for special game modes that I could make work with lobbies of players in the future. So feel free to check that out as well. There is a link to that in the video description, and help me climb on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely, and thank you guys all very much for your support.